All right, everybody. Let's kind of kill a couple minutes here to give more people a chance to jump on. Um, Remember that you have to unmute your microphone to participate. Real quick, let's try and cover a couple of quick questions while we kill a little bit of time here. So, anybody got questions, comments, things that they want to discuss before we get into analyzing this Facebook ad?
I have a question. If they use white plastic, will that emit enough light for rooting cuttings?
Yeah, I think so because white plastic is like for a shade covering.
Well, I'm actually trying to use it to reflect the heat.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen growers put their mist systems, their propagation setups inside of a hoop house covered with white plastic that's pretty much open on both ends. So, yeah, I don't see why that wouldn't work.
Okay, that's exactly what I wanted to what I want to do, and I wanted to talk to somebody that knew about that.
All right.
Uh,
And everybody, if you want to turn your video on, that would be awesome. So everybody gets to see you. We kind of know who we're talking to. Anybody else? Video? What's up, Raj?
Temperature's up a little warm today.
Yeah. Yep.
Finally.
Yeah. Seems like 24 hours ago I was dealing with frozen water lines. So
we had 3 inches of snow here the other day. So.
Yeah, we had the snow too, but then just yesterday morning, yeah, I think it was yesterday morning, I got up and it's supposed to go down to 36 or 37 or something. So I thought, well, I'll, we're probably gonna have a frost, so I'll have to go over and run some water or wash the frost off. I got up, I looked at my phone, it was 28 degrees. So I got over there and I had, water lines that were frozen. I had valves that were frozen that couldn't turn. Fortunately, it must have been for a pretty brief period of time because nothing froze and broke. But it's been a little bit of a crazy springtime trying to deal with these temperature swings and having to water sooner than normal and then having to, finally the first day after the snow, I was trying to keep the pump running and stuff and keep water moving. And then that quit working. So then the next day I had to completely winterize my system again, so it's been, it's been a little challenging, but that's kind of the way it goes. So, all right, I'm going to share my screen and you guys are going to have to bear with me because it's 8 p.m. Eastern and I've been going since 5 o'clock this morning. So if I fall asleep or lose my way, you'll know why. Okay, share my screen. All right. Let me see. I can get rid of that. This Zoom thing covers up half the screen that I'm trying to share. So. All right, so, okay. I got into this last week too, but I can't remember how I managed to fix it. So I'd like to make this full screen, but
What about the lines in the corner up there?
Over here,
Yeah,
maybe. Hide video panel. Hide floating meeting controls. That worked. Okay. All right, so let me get switch profile. I still got stuff in the way here.
Facebook.
Yeah, well, let's do it this way then. Okay. Switch profile, Mike's Plant Nursery. You can tell that I'm really good at this. All right, let's go here. Trying to get to the post that I did.
It might be on there.
How do I get home? Yeah. Let me go here. Sorry about this. I kind of thought that I would stumble right into whatever I was looking for, but where's the search bar in Facebook?
The little magnifying glass to the left. Right above your cursor.
All right.
Yep.
There we go. Try this.
Oh, there we are.
Post. All right, Mike's Plant Nursery, huge plant sale, April 14th. So for 10 days, that's about right. So let's look at insights. So this is the ad that I posted on April 14th. I boosted it. If you guys watched the last video that I boosted the post, I budgeted $20 a day for a 10-day period, but then the weather got crazy, it snowed, it got cold, so I stopped it after about 5 days. So, but what I want to show you is that in that time period, just on this screen right here, we can see that 265 people either liked it or gave it a thumbs up. There are 95 comments, 125 people shared the post. So we're going to click on Insights, post impressions, 32,000. We reached 15,744 people. 3,951 people engaged with the post. Reaction, 155 comments. So here's an important number. 1,307 people clicked on links because I was optimizing for click-throughs to my website. So 1,307 people did that. Other clicks, I'm not sure. 125 people, 125 shares according to this. Not sure what this other 1,900 clicks are. Let's see, Page Insights. All right, so 14% of men, 85% of women. Kind of interesting. Page overview, content, audience. I'm still. Roger, how do I get to Ad Manager from here? Do you know? See details.
Is it up under? Is it up under the little down point, the triangle up there in the right corner?
Here, I don't think so. Maybe.
What's under the shortcuts right there?
See everything you can do on Facebook. I don't know. Never been there before. Social, entertainment, shopping, personal, professional.
I don't nose around on Facebook any more than I have to.
Yeah, me either, obviously. But anyway, I was trying to get to the ad manager so we could figure out what,
Yep. You
what
have to
I
do that on your, you have to do that on your personal page, right?
do. It. Maybe I do.
That's where I get at it when I
Yeah.
ever do it.
Maybe I do. Let's go back to that. Yeah. If I go home, I think that's going to take me there.
It's usually on the left side when you get a full screen. So
I know. I'll go back to full screen, but all right.
Right there.
So
It should be under that.
yeah, it used to be. Now we're in the wrong spot there. Settings and
That's a watch video of how we set this up. And he said something about next week, Dustin's gonna show something about Google.
all right. Well, anyway, I'm not.
Google this year.
Basically, I budgeted this for $200. I spent. You know what? I think I ended up paying. I spent $128 in 5 days. But now let's bounce over here to. This is my Square dashboard. So this is last 30 days. I'm looking for
That's Square.
Hit reports.
gross sales, I think is where I want to be. So this is the 18th to the 24th. Last week was, what day did I say that was? The 14th?
14.
14th that I. All right, so here's the 14th. I don't remember what day that thing started. All right, so we're going to go the 14th through, well, we'll go the 14th through the 27th, even though the ad stopped. All right, so sales during that period, of course, it's covered up.
$11,000 in sales.
Yeah, so during that time, April 14th to 27th, we did, this is just credit cards. There's $11,399.14 in credit cards. So it's $778 in returns because I had new people and we accidentally overcharged 2 customers and immediately did refunds. So the good thing about Square is that so total sales, net sales, $10,523. So basically, that was my point. I spent $128 doing that Facebook ad. I stopped it after 5 days, and we still did about $10,000 worth of business during that time period. And you know, the weather's been crazy, is what it's been. So anyway, that's kind of what I was trying to show you. And anybody got questions, comments, or anything about that before we get out of this? Make sure you unmute your microphone to talk, and go ahead and turn your video on for us too, so we can see you. What
do you think your percentage of credit card versus cash was?
No, man, it's the credit card is high because the cash, if I remember right, I think I deposited for $1,100 or $1,400 in cash and checks from that first few days. And then I probably still have about that amount, maybe $1,100 here that I haven't taken to the bank yet. So credit card sales are higher than ever in, as far as cash. I mean, it seems like everybody's whipping out a card anymore. So it's not a terrible thing. You just know that you're going to pay that doing it 2.75 or 3% on it, but it's well worth it because today people want to pay with plastic.
We were probably about 40% credit card or debit.
Well, I think that's kind of what we used to be, but I don't even think we're even close to that anymore. So I think we're probably 70, 75%, 80% credit card sales anymore. So, but we have signs posted around that we accept credit cards because when people see that, they tend to spend more. So
we had a lot of people that had a lot of cash on them too. So $100 bills, $50 bills was no big deal. They were pulling them right out too. So,
but I can't remember what day it was. I think it was last weekend. We sold all day long, or at least all morning, and somebody handed me $100 bill, and I looked in the register, and I actually had to reach in my pocket to find enough money to make the change. I was shocked that after half a day, we were selling like crazy, and it was all plastic, and we barely had enough money to break a $100 bill. We really didn't. I had to take a few bucks out of my pocket to be able to make it happen. So, all right, other questions about the Facebook ad, the conversions, anything at all? And we want to talk about that before we go on to some general discussion.
you just boosted your post, right? You didn't set up an ad for that.
No, that's all I've been doing anymore is boosting my post, and I have a saved audience that that's in because the boosting posting is really just a different way to get kind of a shortcut into Ad Manager. So when you boost a post, you're still doing the same thing. You're deciding what you want. I used to optimize my ad for engagements, which is people who like your ad, share your ad, comment, or click on something. But now, because I drive them to my website where all my inventory is listed, I optimize for a website click. So that's what I showed you in the Facebook thing.
Yeah, after that first Saturday, we didn't do an ad, we didn't boost it. That was I just put my post on my page, which got over 1,400 views. I had over 200 and some click through. I did the same. I've got a list on my website. Several people printed it out. I've got a print button on it. So several people printed it out, brought it with them. That's 2 pages, but to do
Right.
that. But we did that, but we didn't pay for anything, and we were just swamped. I mean, the traffic out here was kind of a nightmare. I mean, both sides of my street had were parking, plus they went on the side street up and around the corner, block up, and they were walking over. So that's without an ad. So I'm afraid to run an ad here because, oops.
No, exactly. I mean, even though I turned this thing off, we've still been pretty busy. I'm gonna do another ad here probably, tomorrow morning, for the weekend. I'll probably do it for another 10 days because that's what I did last year. And I kind of liked that because it kept people coming in during the week too. It spread it out a little bit because if we jam them all on the weekend, then we get the same situation. We've got parking problems and traffic jams, so it's kind of nice to spread it out. And the people that can come during the week, come during the week. Those who are working, come on the weekend. So
we're going Monday and Tuesday closed this year. So
are you?
Yeah, but I mean, this past weekend I didn't put anything out at all because we had the snow and the cold and everything else. But we still did, like, I think, well, almost $2,000 for Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
Together like that.
Yeah, great. People, they'll fight the weather. So, all right. So anyway, any other questions about the whole Facebook ad thing, the boosted post, before we open it up to any general questions, comments? Tom and Kathy, do you guys?
I did that this morning with a glass of water.
You guys run to the bank yet? I know you had a pretty wild weekend, so.
Yes, it was pretty crazy here.
That's good. That's good. All right, let's cover whatever, we have some new faces on here, or anybody at all. Questions, comments, things that you want to talk about.
Get it all wet, everything. Are those real flowers?
No.
Hey, you guys, I've been up since 5, so you gotta be,
So have I.
somebody,
I work-
probably most of us have. But you must have some concern, some question, something that we can chat about. I will tell you that we're doing this next week, and Dustin has got some pretty awesome heavy duty stuff about getting found on Google for your nurseries locally. So he was doing a little bit of research, and he found some information that was pretty startling to him. So we're going to do that, I think, next Tuesday. So we'll get that posted. So
Hey, Mike.
yes.
Hey, I noticed that you were showing 85% were female on your marketing.
Right, I just noticed that. That's the first time that I was even aware of that.
Okay, I was just kind of curious. I know on the last meeting you had said that you generally don't market to any particular gender. And I was just wondering if this was new or if it's something that's happened in the past, or because I have been marketing to women only.
You know what, I honestly don't know. I think it's my general opinion, and that's all it is, an opinion, is that women are probably more engaged in Facebook, and they're probably spending more time looking at a post like that that's an ad, or it's got the pretty flowers, whatever it is that catches their eye. I mean, we get plenty of male customers come looking for plants and buying plants. So that's why I'm not ready to just paint them out of the picture. But I guess that's a good question. I've never, marketed to one gender or the other. So
My only thinking on was if I'm spending an X amount of dollars and they're telling me I'm going to get, a possible 5,000 contacts out of it, that, I don't want to waste it on, say, the men if they're not going to be engaged in it as much as the women are.
I think it's, I think it's probably more important to pay attention to who comes and buys and shops. And even then, I guess that's probably more female than anybody. And that too probably depends on what you're selling. If we were selling, $150 bulb trees and $80 arborvitaes and things like that, I would expect that would be more of a male oriented purchase. So, again, just pure speculation. If you're spending, if I give Facebook $20 a day, I'm still paying, they're only going to give me X number of clicks for that $20 a day. So, and the men who do click on it are obviously good candidates because they clicked on it. So maybe I'm looking at it wrong, but I just, to me, I kind of go back to the old days with the newspaper when we didn't have all these options and we couldn't tweak all these little things. And it depended on what, if I was selling, high heels, then I obviously would be more gender inclined. But so I don't know. Maybe, have you targeted gender at all, or are you just looking at the, your observation?
I've targeted all women, to be honest with you. And it seems like I think I get better results that way personally, but I think women are more apt to be involved in I sell flowers and stuff too, so you have a lot of that. Now, if when it comes to fruit trees, men come out and buy all the fruit trees usually, stuff like that. But
Right.
most thing, I'd say probably 90% of the customers are women.
Yeah, I'm not gonna argue with that. I mean, then again, you know, I don't know. Some of the men or some of the, I mean, we had a guy, I think it was yesterday morning, he came in, he was by himself and would only pay cash. He said his wife wouldn't let him use a credit card. So he almost acted like he was sneaking around buying plants, you know, because he said he'd come back when he had more money. So, you know, who knows?
Right.
I'd like to see, you know, others like Roger, Tom and Kathy, whoever, to see if they have an opinion about that. I do think that, especially with the perennial flowers and stuff, we get more women. And we definitely get more women during the week. Weekends, we probably get a lot of couples.
I think some of the
Right.
biggest spenders have been men for me. And don't forget, you get a lot of couples that come. And so a lot of it is the husband and whatnot. He's kind of going along with it and agreeing with it. So he's kind of seeing the stuff too. You know, sometimes I've had a couple that have, you know, they've both seen my things and they kind of get together, go, yeah, we got to go there. You know, I mean, I get the comment that, oh, we've been watching you for years. We finally decided we better come up here. So it's not just this time around getting them. People come out, you know, they see they've been watching, they've been seeing, keeping an eye on me, hiding in the shadows, and they finally came up, get the nerve or whatever, and come out, get stuff.
I think and again, it's just my general impression, but I think men and women use and interact on Facebook differently, because you get a lot of women who are tagging their friends and their girlfriends, their sister, whoever, you know, check this out, we got to go here. Where the guys aren't likely to do that. They're likely to share some, you know, some stupid guy thing, you know, guys falling out of a boat or something. I don't know, but you know, there's a whole study involved, and of course, there's probably somebody who's already studied all of that. And that, you know, next week we can quiz Dustin a little bit about that, because he probably has more on those demographics than I do. He's more tuned into all of that stuff than I am. So, other questions, comments? Any change the subject?
I would ask him when he got his plans. Where's the microphone?
Your mic is on, Fred.
Your mic is on.
Oh, I'm sorry. You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I had trouble getting this thing all hooked up.
I understand.
You were just all open last weekend already, correct? Or the weekend?
Well, yeah, I mean, last week was the first week that I've advertised. We've been kind of open, really been open since early April, just because we're there trying to get stuff done and people started coming. So, well, the 14th was the first day that I actually advertised and invited people.
Now, you got a number of plants from Walter's Gardens?
I do, and I just, for the most part, well, I got a smaller order last week or the week before. Some of that stuff was bare root, so we got that part potted, because the bare root stuff is dormant as dormant can be. So we got the astilbes and stuff potted. And then just today, we started potting the stuff that came in flats, because I've been putting that inside at night and trying to protect it from the weather. So, yeah, like I said, yesterday morning was 28. So then I looked at the 10-day forecast, and we're supposed to be good. So I pulled the pallet outside and we dove in and started potting that stuff off of the pallet today.
Yeah, well, we got a lot. We got our bare roots from Walter's the week of the 12th, and then we got the ones in the flats last week. And
Right.
well, last Thursday we had snow, and then 2 nights after that it was freezing temperatures, and one night it was down to like 28 degrees. So we finished potting everything up yesterday. We potted up close to 1,300 plants total with Walter's Gardens and some bushes I got from Evergreen Nursery and some stuff from Spring Meadows. And as we're potting the stuff from the flats from Walter's Gardens, it's like there's small plugs, well, a little bigger than plugs, and we put it in a gallon pot. But if we open this weekend and go to sell that plant, when they go to plant it, they're going to see this little tiny pot size on it. So we were thinking of waiting one more week till Mother's Day weekend. Hopefully this plant's root in a little more.
Yeah, and then what I'm doing, I'm trying, I have a ton of stuff to pot, so I'm trying to pot this stuff that's a little bit bigger, that's not going to get lost in that container, because we probably the same situation you have. You pot it, you put it out there, and people have access to it, and they're going to buy it. So yeah, I try and tell them, but we're pulling stuff right out of the flat and potting it for them because they want them, and that's we're telling them, showing them how big the plug size is, and for the most part, many of them don't care. You once in a while you get somebody. We had a guy that was in there. I didn't even talk to him. The girl that works for me, he came in, walked out back, and he just started mumbling under his breath and swearing. And this isn't what I saw online. Blah blah blah. We only saw 5% of the nursery, but this is the guy that sees a $6.97 price. And then in his mind, he wants to see this, $40 shrub for $6.97. So then when he shows up, he's got an attitude, and so the sooner he leaves, just the better off the whole world is.
Well, at first I was thinking maybe we should put them in a quart pot, a little smaller. But
The problem is they grow out of that thing so quickly, because once it warms up, then they really take off. So.
Well, yeah, we got a couple of warm days here. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow's supposed to be warm with some rain. So I'm hoping that helps cure everything in.
The last couple of years, we've been so crazy, especially, like last year, we were constantly ordering more and more and more perennials because we were so sold out. And so people were always coming when we had this little tiny stuff. And I don't know, for me, it's just not been a huge issue. I'm not in love with it. I would like to get back to where I'm giving people a nice solid 12-inch burning bush, for that price point. But lately they're buying the stuff faster than we can grow it out. So.
Yeah.
But if they pick up something that's recently potted, I tell them, I'm like, hey, we just potted that. So when you go to plant it, you're going to end up with this little tiny plug. And they're like, okay, I'm fine. So. We don't get complaints.
Yeah, that's what I was telling Maureen. As we got to tell people we're just up potted them,
Right.
upsize them in the pots, because a lot of those little pots in the flats from Walters, a lot of them were like root bound,
Yeah.
so peeling the roots out a little bit. But and then we had a lady call us from. She bought a pink flowering almond bush from us last year, and it was just amazing. And she asked if we had any more, and we had gotten 20 of them from Renali. Yeah, we told her we had 10. She says, "I'll take them all." When we weren't even open yet, and we doubled the size of our shade area and our sun area. And we put down new ground cloth and cardboard now, and started setting up tables. And she come out. And she bought all 10. We had to hide 10 of the flowering almonds. But then she started buying everything in quantity. So I had Eastern red buds, and she took every one of those. And then she looked at something else. I said, what are you doing all this? She didn't want any perennials. But she ended up spending over $400.
Yeah.
And then she called again and said, did you get any more of those bushes in? And then we mentioned we had some hydrangeas. Well, how big are they? I'll take them all. It sounded like.
I said no.
Yeah.
She said, you need to call me before you put your order in, and you put your order in for me. I said, no, that's not the way we do things here. So I don't want to deal with her anymore.
It seems like she's buying and reselling.
Yeah.
She's
We're doing all the work.
And she's supposedly from quite far away, probably 35 miles away.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I mean, yeah, she could be selling, in the city somewhere and getting a bigger price for them, who knows? I mean, you run into all kinds of stuff, but because I've done the same thing, a long time ago, I had some weeping pussy willow or something, and I had a limited number of them. I would actually hold some back because I wanted to be able to put them in next week's ad too, because I knew that people were going to be attracted to them. So,
She was looking up at everything we had set back. It was like, well, we don't want to sell these. They're not big enough yet. She was just driving us nuts, but she
Yeah.
spent over $400, and we were just worried she'd come back a couple days later and see we had the other 10 flowering almonds.
yeah, well, yeah, I know exactly, what you're trying to do. You're trying to hold enough so you can offer them to, you're not really in the wholesale business where you're hoping somebody comes in and buys all 50 of them. You want to have a selection for your retail customers.
Right. That was the first plant we listed on Marketplace last year. And the first day we opened.
In the middle of COVID, when it was really strong, I turned around and there was 50 people in my yard.
Really?
Masked, 10, 6 feet apart, standing in line. I couldn't believe it. And I'm there by myself.
Yeah.
And then in a few hours, we did almost $2,000.
Well, when they see we had other stuff, they came for the flowering almond, and then they went, "Oh, you got other
Right.
things." And I had been trying to grow a hydrangea tree like Roger's been doing.
Yeah.
I had one set back there. Well, somebody grabbed it and they wanted it, and she, "Well, my husband's doing an experiment with that. He's trying. Well, he can come over to our house and look at it." They were buying like $300 worth of stuff. She said, I had to let it go.
I just told Pam that today. She wanted to set aside 4 of these, like Cranesville geranium that we've got, to bring them home and pot them. I said, but I just mulched my beds and stuff at home. And I thought, you know what? Those plugs are gonna get lost. I said, we should stick them in a pot and grow them out a little bit, and then we'll take them home and plant them. And, you're gonna have to hide them somewhere. So then I told her, I'm like, well, put them over behind the building, but don't even put a tag on them because, if they see it's a geranium, no matter, you can put a not for sale sign on them, but they're still gonna put them in their cart and get them out the door before you even know it. So. Yeah, there's a downside of letting them shop the whole nursery, but there are plenty of upsides to that as well. So.
Oh, yeah.
We got people calling us, wondering how soon they can come over and pick up plants and that and see what we
Yeah.
got.
We had,
We got quite a few different things this year too, so that's exciting. We're excited about it. We got everything set up nice and that, so.
we had so many people here opening day, they were all over the place. You couldn't keep tabs on, where people were going. And every once in a while somebody'd show up in a cart. And I said, "Hey, you're stealing my plant." Like, "What do you mean?" I said, "Where'd you get that?" I said, "Well, back there." I said, "Yeah, that bench back there is my plants. I have things that I want for me that I haven't planted or nothing." They go, "Well, we like that." And I said, "Well, so do I. That's why I got it." And I said, "But that's my area."
You gotta get a little shed and put a lock on it. That's the only
Oh,
way.
I mean, they were walking through the neighbor's yard to get at the backside and stuff.
Well, when the lady came for the flowering almond, we put the other 10 in the garage and closed the garage doors and hid it.
Nothing here is out of sight. I don't have any areas that I can put things
Right.
where they're not seen. So, I mean, people see like they were coming in and going right by the barn right there. And most of that's my small starts where I put them, and people were just grabbing them left. And, and like I said, when I put on the board, I said, my plant, they start at $5.98. We got all kinds of price points here. And people were grabbing that stuff, thinking that's $5.98, and they were picking them up. And I thought, okay, my stuff is, but then we'd find them, or, I'd tell them we got bigger stuff down there. They go, "Oh, okay." But a lot of people bought the little ones anyways. And I just told them they're babies, leave them there for a while, bring them along, pot them up a little bit. Don't plant them, because I said, you're liable to kill them. I said, they're babies. I said, that's like giving a baby a steak.
Right.
Too much in the ground for that little guy. And, "Oh yeah, that's okay. We want them though." And I said, okay.
All right. Other
All right, I'll let
questions?
somebody else talk. If I figure out how to turn off the mic. Oh, there it is.
You got it. We're also challenged when it comes to this technology stuff.
Did you get your Hartman's order, Mike?
I did. They canceled my raspberries, and they only sent me one kind of blueberry. I think I wanted two or three different kinds of blueberries and some red raspberries, and all I got were bonus blueberries, and they weren't great. I got a good thing you brought that up, because I don't even know how I paid. I don't know if I paid up front. I don't remember. So I got to go back and look. And
Well, they,
stuff, the way it was packed in the boxes there, I had stuff that was broken up and stuff. So
well, they send those blueberries in those peat pots, which I hate them dumb things.
yeah,
And they're all crumbled, which I get them off anyways, because that stuff, it does kill them things, in my opinion. But it had been almost 2 weeks since I called them about, my back order and what they were going to do and all this stuff. And I didn't realize at the time, but they told me, well, the owners wanted to talk to me. And he said, oh, we'll send you, because I had ordered 12 to 18-inch plants. They substituted 6 to 12. And according to my ruler, they're about 4 inches. So the Michiganders, sorry guys, but they must have different rulers up there. But they said, well, they should have been sent. And I said, well, really? And they said, well, we'll send you these other ones if you don't care what variety they are. I said, I don't care. People just want blueberries. So they said, all right, we'll send you these other ones and we'll make up the difference for the other Haskaps they sent me. And the guy said, okay, it said ASAP. All right. So I figured that was on a Wednesday evening. We're waiting anytime. I figured they'd send them out. And I finally called them this past, a week ago, Tuesday. Because I tried Monday night, but our phone was all messed up somehow. But I called Tuesday and I got this older lady to answer the phone and told her, I said, I want to know what the status is of the order here. And she's going through, she said, well, they're all written down here. I said, have they sent them yet? Because the owner said ASAP. She said, oh, nothing saying that they went out or nothing. And I said, well, that don't help. So she said, I'll get them out. I'll tell them to ship these. And she said, now we'll email you when they're shipping and all this stuff, so you know. Well, all of a sudden Friday, I got 3 boxes of plants from Hartman's. They have never emailed nothing in there. I got big blueberries. They sent more Haskaps that I already had. But so I've got all this stuff potted up, and I've already sold 8 of them last night. A girl came and wanted to know if I had blueberries. I said yes and no. I said I have them, but they're not really. I said I just potted them up. She said, well, I need them for my mother's birthday. So I told her, I said, here's what, leave them in the pots or whatever, because they're not ready to go yet. And she said, oh, that's fine. I'll take them. So I sold 8 of them already.
Yeah,
2 each variety.
I finally got mine, but like I said, I only got about a third of what I ordered. But it is what it is. It's they can't sell you or ship you what they don't have, and worse yet, if they send you stuff that's just not worth the money, then that's worse. So
I had a guy that was out here the first day we opened up. He bought like 20 some blueberries and Haskaps that I had. I mean, I sold all the stuff they sent me initially, even the little stuff. People were grabbing them things right up. And he asked me, he said, I was researching and found the more different varieties, the better you have. And I said, well, I just got another variety in. And I said, I hadn't even got a chance to do anything with them. I said, if you come out, I'll let you have them same price, the cheaper price. But I said, these are bigger and stuff. And he come out, but I said, if I pot them up, I'll bump them up. And he come out and I said, I'll let you have 2 at that price. Get them all. And he was looking and he says, oh, here's another. Oh, and this one's got flowers on it and stuff. He said, the ones I got don't have flowers. I said, all right, I'll let you have the 3, at that price. So he grabbed them and I showed him the box because I hadn't even got to the 1 box yet. And I said, they stuff them in here. I said, this is how they look. And I opened up the box. He looked in there and he says, oh my goodness. I said, yeah, they were like stepped on putting them in there with those peat plants.
They really were. And they I don't know. I wasn't impressed with the way they came out of the box. I don't care how they pack them, but when they're come out of the box broken up, that's not a good thing. So
the plants weren't that bad for me, but it's you just kind of got to grab a hold of something and see where it is. It's underneath or over. You got to find that first piece to pull out of the puzzle.
Yeah. All right, what else you guys want to talk about? Questions? Comments?
Mike, I'm not really allowed to sell out of my home, so I work at a hardware store, so I think I'll be selling there. And I was thinking of maybe doing, I'd have to apply, but we have a farmer's market in a town nearby, but I don't have a lot of stuff. I don't know what your idea is on that kind of thing. So I think Linda Barth might have sold a lot of plants at a farmer's market. So I didn't know if you had any other suggestions. I am planning on advertising on Facebook, but I'm not sure how to go about it because I can't have people come to my home.
Well, if you're going to go to the farmer's market, I definitely would advertise on Facebook. You don't have to use a paid ad, but, advertise on Facebook that, this is what I have and I'm going to be at the farmer's market on such and such a day. The same thing at the hardware store. If they're going to let you sell at the hardware store, kind of make a little mini event out of it so that people come specifically looking for your stuff, and if it works out, the way I hope it would be a benefit to the hardware store for you to be pulling people towards that hardware store that normally wouldn't show up, Like I said, many, many years ago, I bought a bunch of stuff and I set up at a flea market and I ran a newspaper ad advertising everything that I had. And I packed that flea market full of plant buyers because flea market people are not plant buyers. It's a whole different animal. But I packed it full of plant buyers and the guy who ran the flea market, he came around in the afternoon to collect the rent. And I'm like, hey, and he's like, get out of here. I'm not taking your money. He says, I've never had that many people in this place, So advertising makes a difference. So even if you just going to do a post on Facebook and, use some good pictures and then make sure that you pass out business cards that, go to Vistaprint and get some business cards that say, I only sell by appointment only from home. If you do that, if you don't, then, but that's one way to kind of build that following, There's a little bit of appeal to that because that's creating some scarcity, when people just can't come and buy from you anytime they want, So if they do have the opportunity, if you say, I only have a limited number of plants and I can't have a bunch of people, well, then all of a sudden those who do get an opportunity to come and shop around with what you have, it's a little bit of a private event for them. So it can work to your advantage.
Thank you.
Okay, we're actually, I can't believe it's only April 27th because normally this time of the year and my teeth are still chattering and we're just thinking about, getting out there and selling a few things. And so we're diving into May and things are going full speed ahead, which is a good thing, so it's already looking to be a really strong year, just like last year. I actually talked to a guy a couple of days ago who, been in this industry one way or another, pretty much his whole life. It's a young couple. And he is a sales rep for some company that does houseplants and stuff. But he said that there are some people who are already booking wholesale orders for 2023. So he said, with this whole short supply thing isn't about to go away anytime too soon. And of course, that's good news for us. Tom and Kathy, are you going to tell us about what are your thoughts on male/female customers and who's spending the most money and who's driving that idea to come to the plant sale?
Well, I think generally in our opinion, the woman usually is the buyer in the family. And so our report shows that we have a high percentage of women buyers as well. But like you said, we have a lot of men that come and sign up on our email list and they want to to get the email rather than the wife. So I don't think it's as pertinent, but we actually, when we do our posts, we just specify the age, and we don't specify gender.
Right, yeah, that's all I'm trying to think what age I'm even doing. I'm thinking 28 to 65.
We're 25 to 65.
And you know what, I might be 25 to 65 now. So,
I don't get many 65s that are on the internet, I don't think, around here. I had a lady
No?
call me and said her daughter got my Facebook thing and she told her about it, but she called me instead. She said, I don't get on the internet.
you sure? We got a lot of 65s on Facebook here.
In fact, I don't
Actually,
get that.
if I could target up to 75 or 80, I probably would.
Yeah, I don't think I wouldn't even say I get that many of the older class here. I mean, I do there's a lot of, I would say 20s to early 30s here. That's a ton of that here.
I get that, but during the week, it's like senior citizens Monday through Friday for the most part. Not always, but you know.
Well, for the most part, I mean, like around here, a lot of the older ones, they look at, oh, that would really be nice, but I just ain't got the time that I'm going to see it. You know, they see the things in my yard. I say, you know, that's what it's going to be. And yeah, but I ain't got time to enjoy it.
Well, people have been telling me that for years. I'm not going to live long enough to see that thing grow up. But, you know, now they're probably coming back, and I'm like, hey, you know, 10 years ago, you told me that you should have bought that Japanese maple back then, you know.
Yeah. Well, they're surprised. They see the things in my yard, you know, and I said, like the lavender twist redbud I got off you. That was back in 2014. And that, I mean, I could have sold 1 million of them that opening day because it was really flowered out, and everybody, you know, what is that? Do you have them? And I said, no. But they said, well, yeah, but that probably takes a long time. And I said, I bought that in 2014. So, and I said, when I got it, it was just a single hook.
Right.
So they'll put on, and a lot of them, they really surprised how fast some of that stuff grows.
I got one customer, he's a male. I'm guessing that he's got to be at least 65, maybe, you know, 70 even. And he's been coming for years, and he will come, you know, I've got those big A.M. Leonard wagons. You can fit about, you know, 34 plants in one of those things. He will pack that wagon full, maybe 2 wagons, and he comes, you know, I haven't seen him yet this year, but he will buy, I mean, 2 or 3 of those wagon loads and take them back home. And I'm thinking, you know, he doesn't even get around that well. And I'm thinking, there's no way he's planting, but he told me he's got a guy that comes over and helps him plant them. He's, well, we got those all planted. He come back and buy more. So this is a male customer who has literally spent, you know, probably $2,000 over a several year period, you know. So that's what I mean. That's why I'm always reluctant to kind of paint anybody out of the picture. And
we had quite a bit of interest come from Instagram. I had a lady come out here, and she said, hey, could I take some pictures and put this on Instagram around our town here where we live in Lidditz? It's known for a touristy area. And she says, we put on, it helps promote Lidditz and everything, and we like to promote the small businesses. And from the Instagram thing, we had a lot of younger married people coming out here to buy plants this year. I mean, the demographic was very noticeable to me. It was very interesting to me. We have a lot of people like you talk about, Mike. We have a lady here. I'd say in the last 6 years, she's probably bought. If she bought, I'd almost eat it if it'd say $10,000 worth of plants easily in that amount of time. Her husband was at a local college here, took care of the landscaping there and everything before he became ill. And she loves plants, and they took a little farm they have, and that's what they were doing with it. Putting it around her place. I mean,
she was younger?
No, she was older.
Oh, she was older.
She's older than I am, Mike.
Yeah. I'll save my mean comments.
But our demographic basically from that Instagram thing was very different. And when we posted our post for Facebook, we put on and we did $50 for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And we had people, Mike, from Facebook. Do you remember how many people you signed up for email? Just
Oh, it was a couple hundred. On Saturday, on just alone Saturday, it was 103.
You know, that is so important because most people can spend a half of a lifetime to get a couple hundred email subscribers that they can market to, you know? And I'm so terrible about that. We used to do a better job of it, and we just haven't. And I have no excuse. It's just complete negligence. I should, you know, everybody should be doing that email capture. Do you have any secrets about that?
We have a form and it's laying right by our cash register on a clipboard. And as soon as we're done with the sale, we ask them if they would like to join our email list. And we tell them that we don't send a lot of emails. We just send out when we're having our sales, and Tom sends out occasionally when to trim things. And when I say when to trim things, man, they jump on that like everything. And he does send a few out, not a lot during the year, but they just seem to want to be on the list.
Right. So those are the magic words that you're offering to tell them when and how to trim stuff. So they're immediately interested in that. But the amazing thing is they just want to be on your list.
Yes.
You know, so yeah, and that's important that they, you know, see what we do is confusing because I send them to the website to look at the inventory thing, and we have our online list there that they can get on, but that's like way different than what we send locally. So, you know, our situation is a little different because we're mixing things up there, and it, you know,
I think COVID has really changed some things. And one thing I noticed, a lot more people are talking to their families more and telling them about these kind of things. I really think you can tell they're passing the word. I can tell when I see it on Facebook. And when people come here, I can tell exactly, you know, hey, this is my daughter, this is my son, this is so-and-so, you know, and we're even getting more of that. And just a short, it's just that last year I saw it, and it just is continuing more this year. And I think the need for people to communicate and to do things together that they can. We're outdoors. I advertise that when I do an ad, I put in, this is an outdoor event. So if it's raining, it's going to be muddy, but we're having it. Okay.
right.
And people want to get out here. They get out of their cars. And I do see a lot of effort for people to keep social distancing. I'd say less than 25% of the people wear masks around here that come out in the country. We try to keep our distance too, but it's really interesting how people want to be outdoors here, want to be around and talking and things like that. And they're also very interested in learning about what to do. And boy, I keep it simple because when you're talking to these people, some people really get detailed. They like to show how much they know.
Yeah.
I like to show how little I know. And it makes them identify with me, you know, and they say, well, how should I prune this plant? And I tell them a little bit, show them a little bit. And I tell them, look, it's simple. The more you prune, the better plants you're going to get. So get that clippers out and just check a couple of my videos and do it, you know. And
that's pretty much what I tell them. I said, the biggest mistake you can make is not to prune.
Exactly.
You know, you're not going to hurt it by pruning it, but you can ruin it by not pruning it.
I always tell them they really don't want to be around me here when I cut stuff.
Right.
Because I'll show them like what you do, you know, with the hand and just whack it right off. And I said, you know, if I'm going after this plant, I said, I can almost hear the plant sigh every time I come out here.
I'm going to look through some of these, because we have some people that are asking questions through chat because maybe they don't have the microphone. Somebody asked about, you know, how do people find you on Facebook? I think that was Jim. And I know that Penny and a couple other people in the chat area were trying to help you with that. But basically, you know, it's to me, it's like, you know, building blocks where you just go out there and you start telling your story in the simplest of terms, no, but, you know, with 1 or 2 plants at a time, and then pretty soon people are interested in you. But, you know, you need a personal Facebook page. So you join Facebook, and then you don't have to interact with all your cousins and your crazy friends and neighbors. You can, but once you have that, then you create a business page, which is a very simple thing. It's just, you know, a page for your nursery, and then you post whatever you have that you want to talk about, and say, hey, I've got, you know, this hydrangea, I've got, you know, 17 of them. They're $6.97 a piece to the first, you know, 17 people that show up. So, and pretty soon you start to develop that following, because, you know, this is another COVID related thing, but people are very interested in supporting local businesses, more so now than ever. And they're not that interested. They would much rather give their money to a local grower than they would some big corporation. And that's kind of what people, you know, the mom and pop small shop is gone. You know, you don't have a shoe store in your town anymore. Some places are fortunate enough to still have a halfway decent hardware store, but people are getting kind of forced into doing business with this big corporate thing. And I noticed in watching like live reality TV with the like live PD or whatever, live rescue, you see these police officers or fire trucks or whatever, they pull into a shopping mall, and I'm thinking, are you kidding me? That shopping mall looks exactly like the shopping mall in every city, and because they have the same stores, the same chain stores, you know. So the mom and pop shop that did all of the things that we were accustomed to when we were a little bit younger, that's gone. So when you have a little mom and pop nursery, people really appreciate that, and they respect the amount of work, you know, that goes into it. So they're looking at the chance to do business with somebody like us.
I started calling us, Mike, a grandpa and grandma operation in my ads.
Yeah.
People are loving it. But
Yeah,
now the older people come out and say, well, who's going to take over? You're getting old. And I'm knowing one of the things we try to do, I try not to do a whole lot of selling. The best thing I like is mixing with people. And like Saturday, when you got probably 100 people standing out here in your yard, looking around, you know, as couples and things I'm talking about, you really, when you start intermingling, talking to them, you know, telling them who you are, and if they have any questions, just ask. After a while, you got people coming after. And of course, I have a pretty loud voice already, so a lot of people hear me when I answer questions, but I also try to intermingle and get to know them just a little bit, that they get that personal feeling out here. They don't get that when they get down the road here to a big place to buy plants. They don't get that. They also find out that down and around here, prices of plants is just out of this world for proven winners and stuff. A lady was here and told me what the same plant she bought here. She said they had theirs in a bigger pot, but she said your plant's just as big as what was in that 3-gallon pot. And she said they were asking $45.
Yeah.
And she said, honestly, I was getting $25 for it. And it wasn't a $7.97 plant. It was one that should be higher. And by the way, Mike, we made our base price $7.97 this year, and nobody blinked an eye.
Two reasons why I don't. One, I'd have to change my sign, and I just changed it last year. And two, I still got so many small plants because I just can't, you know, get ahead and get so. But more than likely next year, I will definitely be at $7.97 because I'm gonna.
Yeah, here the like red buds. Everything I had that I had grown to sell this year was gone the second day and that we were open this past week. And on Thursday, they were gone. I'm into next year's, and all what they are is a stick. And I have people emailing me, and I tell them, hey, this is just a 3-foot stick, basically, I got sticking around here. And they said, we'll take 6.
Yeah.
And they're giving me $20 for them. And I'm going, gee, you know, yeah,
One of the things that
where am I going to get next year's stuff?
one of the things that surprised me is I had a bunch of Japanese maples planted around the nursery, stuff left over from that when you guys were here when I had all those Japanese maples, and
Yeah.
I stuck them in the ground. So I thought, you know what, I better get these out of here before they're too big to dig, you know? So I went through the spring and I dug a bunch of them. And if you guys saw the video where I was making the ball on them, I had them all
Yeah.
healed in. They're kind of flying out of here. I had lion's head that basically I told Pam, I'm like, the red ones are $149. All the other ones are $99. So I had about 5 or 6 of those lion's head. I think I might have one left. And, you know, for 99 bucks. So one lady today, she called her son and she was trying to, and she was trying to just talk him into buying a Japanese maple because she found a red lacy one that she really liked. And she said to me, she says, I don't know, are you going to get more? I said, that's it for a long time. She's like, even next year? I'm like, yeah, even next year. I don't have any coming on. This is what I have. It'll be a long time before I offer these again. So he's like, all right, well, give me that one. And then she's like, I'm going to buy him a lion's head too. So she bought a $149 Japanese maple and a $99 Japanese maple plus some $7 plants. So, and I've been seeing a lot of that so far this spring. So people aren't afraid to spend the money for the things that they want.
That's right.
But I do the same thing as you. I don't try and sell anybody anything. I walk up to them and I'm like, and my standard question is, do you have any questions? Because then they're either going to say no, or they're going to start firing off the questions. And then if you're answering questions, other people are listening to what you're saying, you know, but I goof around with them. There may be 2 women back there that are together and I'm like, all right, troublemakers, what's going on back here? You know, they like it because you see at a box store, nobody would be allowed to do that, you know? So they like the banter and, you know, and will you ever banter with somebody who doesn't appreciate it? Yeah, maybe, but 99% of them like it. So my
Yes.
wife constantly tells me about it, but you know, the customers love it. They keep coming back. So
Yeah, and the people, and I think part of responsibility of having plants that people, and if they keep going with the way some big companies are going, there's a lot of plants aren't going to be available after a while, and like we're trying to keep those
Right.
going. But a lot of people now, we've seen a lot of little children out here. I think this year, a tremendous amount of little children with their parents. And I always tell them they're walking in with even a little baby. I say, giving them their journey out for a shopping experience out in the countryside. And they love it. And they start talking to you. And
Right.
all of a sudden they feel like they're a part. People they call us their family. And I'm going,
Right.
my goodness, you know, I never was in a business. And I started 1, 2, 3. This is my 5th business I've started in my life. And I said, I never was in a business like this where people like the personal touch, like plant people do when they're shopping for plants.
right,
It's
exactly.
something that just brings them back to nature, that they love it. And if you key in on that, I mean, raise good plants. But honestly, what I could tell people about plants, there's a zillion people could tell more than I do and know more than I do about plants. And most of the people probably on here tonight know more than I do. But I think I like the personal contact with people. That's why we do retail here.
Right.
You got to have fun. You got to have fun with the people
Oh, yeah.
there. I mean, that helps my day go by too. But you know, I always tell people, you know, I'll make a comment and I say, well, you open the door. I can't help but go in, you know, certain things, you know.
Right.
But yeah, it's always a fun time around here.
Well, I
mean,
put a post up about some pictures of our weekend or this past week's sale. But one of the things I wanted to mention to you new folks is make sure you get your bench cards up. Get them up so that people can see what the plants look like. We have 2 big, what we call boot beds. And I put signs on all of those trees that are growing. We have purple sand cherries, we have dogwoods, we have Butinicos, we have Rose Creek abelias, and they're all on these beds. And people are walking over to the beds just to look to see what the plant actually looks like. So get the bench cards up.
we've been doing it without them this year. Well, same as last year, because I haven't figured out a way to get them effectively where we're selling them out in the nursery like we do. I'm working on trying to do an overhead with a string to hang them on, but I just haven't had time to work on it. But we've been sticking, because my cards are only the like 3 by 5 or whatever, And so we've been using the florist picks. We got those little plastic pitchforks, stick them right in the pots, you know, and we can do that. But there's so many varieties out there and they're so jammed up, you can't get all of them out there.
You know what I did with like my benches rods that I built the benches, I took little sections of 2x4, maybe 8, 10 inches long. And then I just took the binder clip and screwed it right to the 2x4. And then we slipped the card in there and just set it on top of the benches. Everything else is on a stake that goes in the container. But the stuff that we have under those benches, that works, you know, kind of nice. All right, somebody is asking, Mike Klein said, what's your average cost on the 697 plants? That varies a lot. If it's something that you know you rooted and grew from a rooted cutting, your actual cost is really, really low. I mean, you know, the cutting is free. The rooting compound is inconsequential to the point you can't even put a figure on that. So basically you have, let's say a 28-cent pot if you're using a trade gallon. And I don't know how much, what's the soil worth in a trade gallon pot? 30, let's say 35 cents. I had it all figured out once a long, long time ago. But so, you know, if you rooted it yourself, you know, you probably, and you're selling for $6.97, there's about $6 profit in there, depending on how you value your time and everything else that you've done. Perennials, you know, I buy almost all 72 count perennials. So I'm paying anywhere from 89 cents to about $1.50 for the perennials that I'm buying. I completely sold out of Annabelle hydrangeas. So I bought some Annabelles for $2.90, I think. So now but even then, compared to what most retail stores are getting, you know, their profit margin, I got, you know, $2.90 in the plant and you know, I did the 28-cent pot and then, you know, 35 or 50 cents worth of soil. So even on that item, you're still making some profit. But what's really important is you're offering that plant, and then that's going to bring people in. They're going to buy the stuff that you have the most profit on. So I've got a bed of black-eyed Susans. I've been digging out of that bed and dividing forever. Last year, one of the brokers that I was talking to told me that I needed to get this little gold star black-eyed Susan. Oh, you got to have that. Guess what? It looks just like the ones that I have. So I wasn't at all impressed with it. So it's a combination of things depending on. I don't have a problem selling something for $6.97 that I might have paid $5 or $5.50 for if it's going to really pull people in and people are thinking that they got a great deal on it. Like right now, I got some Japanese maple seedlings that I got off of the West Coast. I think I paid about $2 a piece for them. The freight was murder because I bought some other bigger grafted stuff. So we averaged it out. The freight was like $2 a plant, which, you know, but then again, that grafted stuff I put in the ground and those will sell for probably $100, $150 later. So, you know, they were weeping Japanese maple. So it kind of all averages out. The most important thing is that you're making a profit on just about everything that you touch, and you grow as many things of your own from scratch as you possibly can, because that's, you know, where the profit is. But don't be afraid to buy things that people are going to be looking for. You know, they're looking for butterfly bush, they're looking for bee balm, they're looking for specific things. And by the way, Walters knocked all of the butterfly bush off my order. I didn't get a one. So. Other questions, comments? What else are we going to cover here?
Are there some plants that you can grow that fairly quickly, like vines, or some are maybe smaller or slower? Like I'm not sure about how slow daylilies are to be able to separate them versus maybe like a hummingbird vine or clematis, or, you know, are there some that you think were good to really zoom in on when you're first starting?
some hostas would come to mind real quick because some multiply real quickly like that, where you can divide them in the course of a year or so and get a lot of plants. Some don't. I mean, it's not a one size fits all for, you know, a certain plant. Just because it's a hosta doesn't mean it multiplies real fast. Daylilies don't all multiply real fast. Irises don't take off all the same. Certain ones do and other ones don't. Some Wigelia grow faster than other ones.
I think variety is really, really important because, you know, if you mention hosta to one lady, she's like, I don't want any, I'm sick and tired of hosta. But then the next one comes in and she wants every hosta that she doesn't already have, you know, so you just never know what people are looking for. You know, when you list all the stuff that you have, especially when you start talking about some of the old fashioned, this is kind of to touch on what Tom said, that some of these plants have been around for a long time. I had a lady come in a few days ago asking me for pussy willow, and nobody grows it anywhere or sells it anywhere that she can find. And I had some here, but God, they grew so fast. They rooted out the bottom of the pot, clear to China. And, you know, I just got frustrated with them and I got rid of them. But, you know, and I'm thinking to myself, and forsythia, everybody was in asking for forsythia when they were in bloom and they could see them. So, you know, and if you're going to do forsythia, you know, pick one that got great color. You know, Linwood Gold has great color. Not always the most dependable bloomer, but they've got great color. You know, it's not something you want to do a ton of, but it's probably something you should probably have 100 around. My cousin hit me up yesterday. He's got some kind of privet hedge around his yard, which 50 years ago, everybody had a privet hedge around their yard. Well, he needs a few plants to replace. Nobody sells that anymore. Just nobody, you know, there's a few places online, and you guys know what it's like to buy stuff mail order sometimes. So I told him, I said, I don't have it and nobody grows it, but, you know, shoot me a text in June and I'll come get some cuttings. I'll root some for you, you know? But he's not the first guy that's come to me looking for California privet, you know? So some of that stuff, that old fashioned stuff, you know, like Fred was talking about the flowering almonds. That's an old fashioned plant, but boy, they're so beautiful with the flowers on them. And people will come, you know, like bridal spirea, that's old fashioned. And that's something that people are often asking for. So I don't think there's anything that's off limits. You know, if people say to, you know, a lot of times, I don't like forsythia, I don't like growing them, I won't have them in my yard. I never put one in a landscape. All the time I landscape homes. But for the person that's just kind of, for the first time in their life becoming aware of plants, they're like, wow, that's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. You know, so you just never know exactly what, you know, I remember a number of years ago, I bought a bunch of rhododendron liners and I told the nursery, just, you know, they're send me whatever you can. So they sent me like a hodgepodge of all these different liners because I got like what was left in their house. They were bedded in. But there was one that I had, and when a couple of years later, when I dug them out, I was going to sell them. It was something that it was kind of unique and very different, not that popular. Well, they did a Google search and it popped right up because it was on my website, and they came to buy that one specific rhododendron. It was actually going to the local college. So you just never know what is going to get somebody to come out and you know, and discover you and tell other people about you. So, and you know, the old fashioned stuff, the stuff that is in public domain, I'll tell you what, I am more driven than ever to make sure that stuff never goes out of market, because I just potted up my 2 proven winners plants today that they forced me to buy the pots for. I got 1 gallon containers, and then they sent me this bigger containers, like a gallon and a half, the plant is lost in there. I'm really frustrated. That's never gonna happen again. I'm never gonna buy anything that I have to buy that pot for. You people posted stuff in the last couple of days on the board. You're not allowed to give the pot away. You're not allowed to sell the pot. You're not allowed to do this. You're not allowed to, that's way too many rules for me. So my goal is to focus on things, like hydrangeas. I've got all kinds of public domain, beautiful hydrangeas. I just don't need to be buying something that comes with a rule book. And that's just my personal opinion, but, and because we sell at that lower price point and they don't like that, they want us charging $40 for that plant because that way they can bump their royalties up even higher. So, I don't know. I don't necessarily think that we need to be a party to that, but to each their own, there are some beautiful proven winter plants, but there are a lot of other plants that are really nice as well. So, all right, what did we not cover?
Some are easy to propagate, a lot easier to propagate and stuff than we think, Mike, that we can do. We do a lot of salix and things like that. And year after year, when you start looking down at the plants sold, Weigelias, salix, spireas, they sell. And some people get concerned when one or two people say, well, I want this certain kind of, I say, well, I don't have it. If you want to buy that, I can tell you where to go and where to get it. And that's fine with me because our target is people that want to buy plants at a good plant, great plants really at a reduced cost. And that's a good profit for us. And that's what we target. And if we stay in that realm, instead of jumping on the next wagon that comes along, and kind of say, I think you can really build a good sound business with it.
Well, you guys have done really well with that. And that's been my whole, unique selling proposition that I've tried to teach to everybody is that one price. You don't have to have one price, but you want to be known for that price point I still think that's the biggest appeal when people come out, and whether you're at $6.97 or $7.97, they come out and they know that plant's $7 and that plant's $7 and that plant's $7, whatever it is, and they can load up the wagon. And especially if they just came from a garden center where that plant's $40, that plant's $50, they love what we do. And nobody else does that. So it just makes us unique. And they keep coming back year after year after year because it's kind of like a treasure hunt for them. So
we have some customers that told us this week when we were open that they remember when we were charging $4.97 for plants.
Right.
So they are repeat customers.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and they get the inflation. They don't have a problem with the fact that you're at $7.97 now because the stuff in the garden centers has gone way up over from when you were at $4.97. So
oh yeah, big time.
Somebody asked whether or not they thought they heard that you guys had just had your last plant sale, and of course that's not true. You're going to sell. You're probably going to advertise all the way through May or until you run out of plants, right?
Exactly. We do, and. We may even keep going a little longer because some plants mature a little later and things like that. So we'll probably get into June this year a little bit. And I think one of the things that I've seen here, I was talking with a gentleman who rents me some hoop houses right down the road here. And it was kind of interesting. He's a landscaper, he's 3 years older than me. He's 75 now. And he told me, he said, well, I think I'm going to hang this up. He still does it part-time, but he also had 5 green giants on the back of his truck to put in for one of his old good clients that he's had for years. And he told me, he said, I went into Lowe's. He said, that giant's there like that, same size. He said, $135 a piece, he said.
Right.
What they were asking. Now he bought wholesale over at another nursery and he bought them, but I think they still cost him around $80 the way.
Yeah, exactly. The nursery right next to me, they've got them in the field, I don't know, 6 or 7 foot, but they're $80 wholesale. I've got a landscaper that's been coming around. He's actually one of our members, but he's local and wants to start growing. And, he just came yesterday. I don't even remember what he bought. Oh, he bought some ornamental onions, but, super nice guy and young guy, and he's working with his dad. But he said, you know, that Green Giant, he said, I can buy a liner for $2, put it in the field, and I can't remember how many years, he said 5 years later, sell it for $200, you know, in a landscape job. Or so it's just insane, you know, what people are willing to pay.
It is. It's really amazing.
I just noticed the other day, we were driving around a different area down along the lake, and any fields that are along the lake in this area, Fairview Evergreen has them. And just driving by, the looks of them, they looked like Green Giants they had growing in one section of the field. I have no idea how long these fields are. These rows just go back, and there was probably 20 rows of them, and they were probably 15, 18 inches high, it looks like, driving by. But they had that open look like a Green Giant would have them. Of course, they got fields with emeralds, greens, and other things like that, the better ones. But we just found some new fields that we hadn't seen them before, and they're just packed full of stuff out there. And they're getting back into growing trees again. I got to head back over to One Way, see if they've added more. They have a different field now. They're growing trees again. So
right, and you know, I posted that thing about 2 weeks ago on the board because we got somebody emailed Dustin, and we're looking for Green Giant liners, and they're like, you know, I hope that you will consider growing these for us. You know, we're looking at what was it, 80 to 100,000 a year over the next few years, you know. So, and you know, those numbers are real. Like the nursery next to me, they grow a certain kind of taxus. I don't even remember what it is. It's just an odd taxus. But one of the guys that was out there working, and he told me, we got a customer that buy because they put them in a bed, and they leave them in that bed for 2 or 3 years, and then they dig the whole bed. So the bed's about maybe 5 or 6 feet wide, and they got probably 4 plants across in that bed. You know, they're all machine planted and machine harvested. They dig them bare root. But he said, we got one customer that every year buys 150,000 of that one taxus from them. And they buy it big enough to probably pot right into a 3 or 4 or 5 gallon container. So the numbers are just hard to get your head around, really.
I sent Fairview Evergreen an email about first part of March, asking if I, you know, seeing as I was a little bit sluggish and slow around here, if they would be interested in letting me do a little interview tour kind of thing. I've never heard back from them. Kind of takes me off, but I mean, there's a lot of areas. I mean, just little bits that I drive by, and it's amazing some of the things that they do. And it'd be fun to know. I'd like to know why they do certain things, certain ways.
I know. Well, I don't know how many nursery tours you went on. You know, we used to do the shindig, and then we do that field day, and we toured, and it's always amazing to tour some of these nurseries because you learn so much. And I'm kind of hoping, I don't think there's anything happening this year because they canceled the whole thing months in advance, you know, with COVID. So I really look for all that stuff to get back in a big way next year. So
I like going around. You know, I'll drive out some of the roads out around here, and just, you know, I mean, I'm guessing hundreds and hundreds of acres of all this stuff growing, and just fields here. Because I mean, they've got over 300,000 acres.
Yeah.
So
right.
It's not all growing now, but.
The place next to me, they farm 1,800 acres, and that's, you know, we got 100 wholesale growers here. That's just one of them. So, but you know, like a few years back, there were a bunch of our members. This is probably going back quite a ways. We were touring one of the local nurseries. It was with the local field day thing in August, and I remember being on a wagon tour, and a friend of mine was the one who was narrating the tour, and he was talking about putting drip tape under the plants because they do all bare root. So they grow everything, and in the fall they dig everything in the field and then take it in the building and stack it up and grade it and then ship out bare root to all the mail order houses and stuff. But they put drip tape, their planter is set up where they put drip tape right under the plant. So when they plant the plant in the field, the drip tape gets laid down and then the liner gets set on top of it. And then every 11 days or so, they open the valve and kind of flood the field from underneath so everything gets watered, because it's all sand and gravel. So it makes a world of difference. But I remember he said that it only costs us about 3 cents a plant because the drip tape is disposable. So when they dig the plants, they just roll the drip tape up in a ball and throw it away. But he said it only costs us about 3 cents a plant to put the drip tape in when we plant. But we still spend $30,000 a year on drip tape. So at 3 cents a plant, they're still spending $30,000 a year on drip tape. And the other thing he said that we root about 500,000 cuttings ourselves every year, but we also buy 500,000 rooted cuttings from other growers. So it's just really, really hard to get your head around those numbers. And that's kind of one of the things that I try and impress upon our members, is that once you start entering into that wholesale market, the sky is the limit, really. And the opportunities right now, because, I've said it before and I'll say it again, these big nurseries, so many of them are second and third generation. And I've been, people have told me that, I know it's happening by me, but it's happening across the country as well, where the younger family members, they don't want to run it. They grew up around it. They don't want anything to do with it. So when they inherit these nurseries, they're perfectly content to cash them in, sell the inventory, sell the equipment, and sell the real estate. And so I've been told more than once that that's happening across the country, where a lot of these big growers, the tradition ends here. So the demand for plants isn't less, it's the desire to run those businesses. So for us small growers, that's just crazy opportunity in the making. So just something to always keep track of.
Hey, Mike, to go back to what you were saying about prices, I just got a Busy Beaver ad, and like last year, like their hostas were like $5.99, $4.99. This year they're $7.99, and the gallon pots are $12.99. Busy Beaver's always been cheaper with the plants.
Right.
They've never been nowhere near that price.
And I'm willing to bet, I mean, I don't know, but let me say that I'm guessing that they are probably somewhat generic varieties,
Yeah.
So, because I do a lot of specialty hostas, I don't grow them, I buy them and resell them, but I'm guessing, because that's what I see. I don't spend a lot of time in the big box stores. When I do, I rarely go into the garden centers, but when I do, I notice that a lot of what they have on their shelves, some of them is, pretty generic, Potentilla, Weigelia, they don't even specify a variety. So,
Right.
and customers don't, retail customers don't know. They're just buying it. But by the same token, they still like to come and buy it from all of us, and they like to buy from Tom because he's going to pick their brain and entertain them a little bit with his wit, kind of like I do. And people like it, and I often ask people their name, and I try and remember their names because I know they're coming back. I mean, the guy had a gal at my place, she's been coming year after year after year. So, and that's nice to be able to see these same faces that people, and they come and they brag about your plants and what a great deal it is. And so,
well, the quality of those plants are not good either. They're not very good.
Is that Ashtabula Busy Beaver?
Yes.
Half the time we didn't even know they were open or not. Go by there.
yeah.
What was that?
You can hardly tell if they were ever open. Seems like when you go by there, that's not much going on there at times.
All right, so we have a public announcement to make. Terry Fulton just bought a pair of bib overalls. She said she was watching my video. She said they look comfortable, so she bought a pair. They are comfortable, and no more pulling your pants up all day long. That was my issue, so.
No, thanks.
You know what, Roger, never say never.
Oh,
Months from
no.
now, you're probably gonna be in bibs. You might even be in pink bibs, I don't know.
Closest I come is I have a little thermometer that I bought when I first started. We saw it. I have a little thermometer hanging on one of my posts out there that is a little set of bib overalls with a thermometer right in the middle of it.
See, you're on your way.
No,
You'll get there.
I remember my grandfather wearing them, when I was a kid and stuff. But it's like, no, farmer, hey, that was what you did. You wore a farm, just pull them on, slap them up over the shoulder and go.
My wife wears hers every day now, so. All right, we've been at this for about 90 minutes, so anything really important we want to cover before we all go to bed? All right, fine then. All right, hey, listen, everybody, thank you so much. Next week, going to be some really important stuff. Dustin is going to educate us all, and you're going to learn how to very quickly and easily make sure that you are found, that when people are searching Google or elsewhere, your nursery is the one that pops up. He sent me an email, and he found some stuff that he thought was kind of astounding. He's constantly researching, search terms and all kinds of stuff. And so anyway, he's going to talk about that, and he's going to show you how to capitalize on it. And I think it's pretty simple stuff. And he wanted to get it out right away so that you have an opportunity to get this implemented. I think he told me that most people can probably get this done in 15 or 20 minutes, So anyway, I don't know. Other than that, I just know it's going to be good stuff because Dustin's a whiz at that kind of stuff. So, all right, let's all go to bed because I'm sure we got a million things to do early in the morning. And so I'm going to wish everybody a good night.
Very much.
Good night, everybody.
Night.
Good night.